blame it all on Voltaire. Or if you'd rather, blame it on Leonard Bernstein. Any way you look at it, Leibniz gets a bad rap. Hey Google, what was Leibniz's full name?
Sorry, I don't have any information about that.
What was the name of the Leibniz that invented the calculus?
Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz. Here's a summary from the website en.wikipedia.org. Isaac Newton and Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz
Stop.
independently developed the
Hey
theory of
Google,
infinitesimal.
stop. Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz, gifted mathematician and physicist. He developed the form of the calculus that we use today, not Newton. His brilliance is remarkable. However, he made a comment which Voltaire turned into a joke. His novel Candide. Leibniz proposes that this is the best of all possible worlds. Voltaire thought, what rubbish, and proceeded to take his character Candide and put this character and his loved ones through a whole series of terrible events that were actual commonplaces in the world in which Leibniz and Voltaire and Candide lived. The earthquake at Portugal, plague in Asia, being sold into slavery, a whole series of disasters where it's illustrated that this is not the best of all possible worlds. Possible worlds. What is it to be a possible world? What Leibniz is trying to say is this, that there are impossible worlds. A world of complete perfection, of a utopian existence where no one suffers, where there are no wrongs, where there are no harms. This just doesn't exist. There's a payoff, you see. There's a trade-off for every step along the way. Yes, you can have, well, saw a cartoon the other day, a little drawing, and there's this very, very old and feeble man who's obviously been examined by his doctor, and he's getting down off the examination table, and he's fastening his shirt up. His walker is standing there in front of him that he's going to grab a hold of once he's able to slide down off the examination table. The doctor's standing there, and he says, well, you remember that 20 extra years you've been living good for? This is them. I mean, that's the way it works. You don't get 20 more extra years, say between 20 and 40. No, we can't double that up. You get that 20 extra years, it comes at the end when you're likely to be sick and fragile and even possibly alone. It's the only way it works. It can't work any other way. Logic doesn't permit it. The thing we've got to remember about Leibniz above everything else is that he's a mathematician. That it's about numbers, it's about logic, it's about reason. Leibniz is among the persons identified as the continental rationalists, like Descartes before him, and we just went through Descartes. If you haven't seen the Descartes, go see the Descartes. Like Descartes before him, he thinks everything can be solved by thinking about it. That's the way we know anything about the world. Is it in accord with reason? See, Voltaire is being an empiricist. He's appealing to his senses. He's saying, look, I see pain, I see suffering. What are you talking about, best of all possible worlds? Leibniz is looking at the logic of the situation and says, look, there's a payoff. There's this You get this, but you have to pay that. You get the other, but you have to give the other. Nothing comes without a balancing. Possible world is just that. We don't begin to know what we lose when we correct for something. I knew a fellow once, a retired psychologist. I think he was a quack myself, but here was his theory that there was a time between the increasing myopia in our culture and the accelerated elevation of the IQ scores. So that he seemed to genuinely believe, and he certainly argued for it, that seeing poorly was the payment you made to think better. We know, or at least we think we know, that sickle cell anemia was an evolutionary development to protect persons who are inclined toward it today from contracting malaria. It's a trade-off. You get a payoff for one thing, but you lose a payoff on the other. And that's all that Leibniz is trying to suggest, that this was the best deal God could get, so to speak, that there isn't anything better. This is as good as it gets. Yes, it would be nice to have a world in which children never got hungry, but a world in which children got hungry would be somehow worse than, and he can't, of course, tell us what that worse than would be. But his logic is, if it could have been better, it would have been better. It isn't any better. This must be as good as it gets. I don't know that I agree, but it is something to think about, and something to talk about. Keep talking philosophy.